Alright, see for now for me church will be a samo be a kwa baby my deba and Kasa TV so and Kasaka see a boss in a do susi as some money some Jimmy Better say dear. I update any trending news on Kwana Medicine for my for Busha for Yembora a year and send moon tintimia a Busha for any name say a year Akutia by election at me abanary and a bannery and a night say a NDC Manu Kono at me afa a sitting a Wakwatian in a Busha for. Lawyer Paul Adomochi the analysis ni nyaba beto abonti achese abusuafo kwan any strategy NDC amani kun effect me ewini election any kwan na wo so say omo etimi efa sa election na just no money abe nkai ba yetete ni say NDC amani kun koto akotiefo anim say omo anto abana ama omo a omo enya development bia ewo akwatia ho achese omo beyi omani edi amomo na no kan obi ena ma NDC amandiko ntimi fa akwatia city ntimi nkuti lawyer Paul Adomochi nsemo de to abonti fasa ansimi subscribe to my channel like in for adwenche go comment section kama koba there can be am bebe.
You are a presidential candidate, you go there, you are spending money on what basis? Are you spending money that the delegates of Akwatia should vote for you in January? Are the delegates outside Akwatia more important than the delegates in Akwatia, given that the addition of the seat to the MPP might not do much? You know, and I'll give you another reason why the NDC needed to win this. I'll tell you. That's coming. So that really happened. And as I was watching the campaign, and I had people in Akwatia, when was it, Friday? And I asked them to check. I was watching the campaign, it was beginning to look like that. Kwabene Japan, for instance, didn't find his way there at all because he's going to make a calculation. So I go to Akwatia, a seat that doesn't add, doesn't subtract. And I go and spend money with delegates. And then they vote for the MPP candidate. Will they necessarily vote for me at the presidential primaries in 31 January? They might not. So he looks at it and says, Charlie, look, it's Akwatia matter. Let it slip. Let it slip. Now, the leadership of the party, who are now in the leadership, that is Henry Nana Boache, very hardworking. Justin Kodria, very hardworking. Chairman Bute is representing the chairman. In fact, the chairman is not opposed. He's not feeling too well. So there are people who are challenging Justin Kodria. They want to become the general secretary instead of Justin Kodria sometime after January next year. They are not going to marshal their support and join a campaign that Justin Kodria, in his capacity as the incumbent general secretary, is running, so that the seat is won. Kodria looks good, and then he probably picks up an edge as a result of Akwatia over the other person who wants to be general secretary. So all of these underlining factors were big in the MPP campaign. It was so the MPP could not gather themselves together to take advantage of the division in the NDC. And then you saw the NDC with the government machinery effectively used. Julius Debra, the chief of staff, went there on his own with the Eastern Region appointees. Johnson Asidu Ketia and the rest went in. Now they went in to fight and they had the resources. The national security, Richard Jakpa and co. were all seen in Akwatia. So this is the explanation from our perspective, and you can disagree with it. That's very fair. From our perspective, that's what it looks like. But you can think about it and see. So Brian Achampong goes to Akwatia, and he's in two minds. Should I go and spend 100,000 cedis in Akwatia? How will that 100,000 cedis inure to my benefit in January? Is it money thrown away? Maybe yes, maybe no. If we win Akwatia and the guy comes to parliament and we are 88, so what has happened? So this was a problem. And so I believe that this came at a bad time for the MPP, and no leadership at the top. The national leadership is on one leg because some of them are running again, some are not running again. This looks like it's their cup of tea. I'm running against them. I don't want to participate in this. I don't have to fit into this. All of those analyses are very, very important. So you saw that presidential candidate Kwabene Japan did not even go there. Dr. Mahama Bawumia did quite a bit of work there. He went there more than once. But if Dr. Bawumia is going, and he's not going as a leader of the MPP, and he's going as one of the candidates for January, will I join him if I'm in Kennedy Japan's camp? Will I say, oh, Bawumia is coming? No. So Bawumia goes with his people in Bawumia camp. Kennedy Japan goes with people in Kennedy Japan camp and try and rack up some support in some parts where he's confident that the delegates and the polling station executives are going to vote for him. So it was really a big crisis period, and that is why the MPP were hoping but the NDC does not contest, because this was going very difficult. At the time when it's coming, it's very, 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 very difficult for them. And that's what happened, and that's what reflected in the results, except that we still don't understand how the exit poll showed such a big lead for the NPP, and eventually by the time the results were counted, the NPP had lost the election. So what shall I say to these men? Okay, congratulations for all of you. Dr. Osei Aweduchum also went in there. He went to Akwetia to do his bit. But again, if Osei Aweduchum is going, Brian Achampong's people are not going to go with him. If Brian Achampong's people are going, they're not going with him. This one is going, this one is not going to go with him. But after January, they have one leader, and there's a timetable for national officers. National officers are elected, and they have formed one unit together. It is only then that we can test the formidability of the NPP, whether they've risen up from the doldrums of the 41% or whether they are going even further down. There's more time to look at that. Now, why was the NDC so interested? So somebody will say that the NDC already has 2/3 majority. Why were they so interested in Akwetia? I'll tell you a secret. There could be another by-election pending in Asante Achim. I don't know whether it's north or south. Asante Achim. The seat was won by an independent candidate who massively defeated Andy Apiakubi, massively, and won. It may well be that there could be a by-election, not because he has passed. No, far from that. No, he's not passing, and he's a young man. He's not passing by the grace of God. But there are some legal matters, some of it extra jurisdiction, that may occasion that kind of situation. So if the NDC does not win Akwetia and they lose Akwetia to the NPP, it means that the NDC has, now this independent candidate I'm talking about currently sits with the NDC. So it means that the NDC has 2/3 exactly. 2/3 exactly if they don't win Akwetia. Asante Achim North is more difficult for the NDC to win than to win Akwetia. Akwetia is easier for the NDC to win than that Asante Achim one. So if the NDC does not win Akwetia, does not contest in Akwetia and win as they have done now, so that they have 2/3 plus 1, and they remain at 2/3 exactly, and the Asante Achim by-election occurs, and there is the MPP win it, as Asante Achim is currently is an independent candidate, the MPP independent of course, but it's an independent candidate. But if the MPP have a candidate that wins it, and the person comes as MPP, then NDC were going to be short of the 2/3 by 1. So they will no longer have the absolute 2/3. That may be the reason why the NDC thought that, in spite of all the moral considerations, you can call them whatever name you want, they are going to Akwetia to deal with it. That's what happened. And then we can come to all the constitutionalists who are talking about there should be no by-election. There shouldn't be a by-election, competitive by-election when somebody dies some say within the first 2 years, some say throughout the 4 year, some say within the first year. I think that there will be occasion enough for us to discuss some of these matters. But okay, so is that where's the actual results? Do they have the final results? If they have it, they'll send to me. But the final results from Akwetia is that the National Democratic Congress candidate, his name is Bediako Bernard. He pulled 16,896 votes. Currently, we are talking about 110 polling stations out of 119 polling stations. So with 110 polling stations counted, with what will be left then of 119, maybe 9 polling stations left, the NPP's Kwame Asumedu has 13,767, whilst the NDC's Bernard Bediako has 16,896 votes. Now, the 9 polling stations left will not matter because if you add all the total number of registered voters in the 9 polling stations, it does not. It's not bigger than the difference in the 2 candidates. That is to say that if you add all the 9 polling stations to Kwame Asumedu, he still does not assail